Hey everyone, True here, and today we are going to take a look at the new and the third Fire Astrid. At this point, it will become really difficult to agree on a unique distinguisher for the names of these units. I mean, we have the original Astrid, then we have a Bright Astrid, the 100% guard, and now we have Fire Astrid. Number 3, potentially we could call her Red Astrid or Commander Astrid, but let's see. And let's check out her actives, her passives, her AI handling, and her potential. First, a quick look at her stats though. They are quite average, except for her speed, which is quite high at 388. Her first active skill, Burning Spirit, is basically an ignition attack with a twist. It deals 100% damage, ignites herself, and costs 100 time units and 0 spirit. So why is it called Burning Spirit then, even though it doesn't produce spirit right away? That is because the spirit production wholly depends on how many burning units are on the battlefield. What that basically means is that if every unit on the battlefield is burning, 8 spirit is produced. This is the biggest spirit move upwards that is possible in the entire game right now. So pretty good. I mean, obviously it's very rare to see 8 units burning on the battlefield, but still very good skill. And I mean, the skill itself at least produces 1 spirit because the attack ignites herself, so 1 unit will be burning for sure. Then we see the Guard Incinerator skill, and this one is another instant skill, so it only costs 1 time unit. This one costs 2 spirit, but it's also kind of a guard destroyer with the additional add-on that she can gain the burn status effect from it, and the target will get it as well if it survives, obviously. So this is definitely a kind of a nerf to guards that have endure or hold ground. 500% damage is great, however it does not ignore damage reductions, so that is quite important in the current guard meta to mention. But given that the skill only costs 1 time unit, if she has enough spirit, there is the option to get off another very powerful attack pretty much immediately afterwards. Burning Blaze deals 500% damage to 2 enemies, and as we saw with the Eon Bane from Earth Ossia, this attack basically ignores everything. It ignores stealth, it ignores counter stance status effects, it ignores skin passive skills, revenge passive skills, and the only requirement is that Astrid has the burn status effect. This is kind of a low requirement given that she has an instant Guard Incinerator skill, or the kind of Burning Spirit, which also ignites her, or the 4th skill, which also helps with that. It does cost 3 spirit, however, and 130 time units. And the 4th skill that I just mentioned is actually a skill that doesn't deal any damage, but instead is only for the allies of Red Astrid. Ignite All Plus grants all non-sleeping allies the burn status effect. And if these allies are already burning before this skill is applied, these allies actually get their TU costs reduced for all skills by 20%. So this is a basic quicken skill, and also Enraged, so the next attack is increased by 50%. All that for just 50 time units, so she will definitely get another turn very quickly if she doesn't die, which her passives make more likely. And it also produces 1 spirit, and I mean, given the first skill, the Burning Spirit, she could potentially produce much more spirit shortly after. And her passive side is absolutely stacked as well. We do have Blaze of Glory. This is a 2-part skill, but the first part is also kind of 2 parts in itself. Something kind of special, because if she gets her turn, then she heals 30% of her HP. I mean, we have seen that before, but with this unit, if another burning ally gets the turn, she also heals 30% of her max HP. So this is two quite strong options to heal herself, also in combination with that kind of instant skill. We see it with Lancelot as well, where she can quickly heal 60%. But here we also have the allies supporting Astrid's survival. And the second part of the skill really brings the focus on the dawn of the battle. So at the very start of the battle, if she is already on the battlefield, then other units with the burn blast or burn drive type active skills, and this is, very widely defined. So the name of the active skill of these units doesn't have to be burn blast or burn drive. It just needs to be that kind of type. So for example, Freya's Burning Phoenix or Bright Astrid's Flame of Rigland are also considered Burn Blast type active skills. So basically you can think about this as any unit that kind of needs the burn status effect to do a specific attack. But now, dialing it back a bit, so what does it do to these kinds of units? These units all get the burn status effect straight away and a stun ward. Stun ward is basically a one-time stun immunity. What this means is if you run a full front of burn units, all of them at the start are immune to stun right away and already burning. So whenever they get their first turn, they can already blast off some potentially powerful attacks. Of course, this latter part only matters if Astrid is on the field right at the start. This does not apply if it is later, but the healing is still a very, very important part of her skill set, no matter when she comes on the battlefield. Her heroic focus is the same in that regard. She is a unit that is absolutely stun immune. So even if she isn't burning, she is stun immune. And if she is burning, then she also gets the burn armor additionally, so kind of 50% damage reduction from attacks. And additionally to that, she also has the Burning Heart passive, basically meaning that if she has the burn status effect, she will survive an attack at 1 HP that would usually defeat her. Now a quick look at her AI. It is kind of simple, the hate conditions. One of them being if the enemy has one protector, so if there's a guard on the enemy team, her hate rises by 20%. And the other condition, the other threat level increase is from her burning. On the skill side, the weights are a bit weird at first. I mean, if she can use the guard incinerator, it's obviously a very, very good idea to use it, and that weight is very, very high. So usually you would expect her to use this whenever she can. So having enough spirit is one condition, and a guard, a real guard on the enemy team is important. So the kind of Morris, etc., do get ignored. She doesn't use this skill on them. The other skills are a bit interesting and seemingly a bit weird. I think the weight for Burning Blaze is quite low and it doesn't appear to have any modifiers. So if that is true, we might not see her use Burning Blaze as much as you might want if you run her in a burn team. For example, if the spirit is relatively low in your team or there are a lot of units burning on the battlefield, she is very likely to use Burning Spirit instead, even if she is already burning and could use Burning Blaze. And alternatively, there's also the Ignite All Plus, which also has a kind of lower weight, but has also some modifiers that might raise it quite a bit. These modifiers, to me, look a bit nonsensical partially, so it really remains to be seen how she really acts on the battlefield. Now, what do I think in terms of potential for arena, for war, and in terms of her arena tier? The big question with her is if her kind of skill set and her powerful combinations are really enough to put Burn back into the meta spotlight. Because the thing about her is that compared to units like Bright Astrid, Freya, or Fire Elmina, this Fire Astrid really needs burn allies to work well and to unleash her full potential. Otherwise, a lot of her skill set kind of goes to waste and might even mess up your team's synergies. Now the thing is, her together with some burn allies could absolutely kind of change or pretty much counter the currently very popular top 1 platoon, where we see units like Light Anya, Storm Jean, and Lancelot. Why is that? If she goes first, her entire team kind of becomes immediately stun immune, at least for 1 stun, which is already, oftentimes quite enough. This Astrid is also permanently stun immune compared to Bright Astrid, who was only stun immune if she is burning. This Astrid also has quite a high speed, so encountering a Light Anya at first, she will immediately get to use the Guard Incinerator skill, kind of immediately get another turn, and if she has enough spirit and, AI thinks is right, could potentially follow it up with a Burning Blaze and kind of finishing off Light Anya, because Light Anya will have gained the burn status effect from the Guard Incinerator, and so her Endure that she gains from successfully surviving that first attack, because 500% damage is probably not enough to finish her off, especially because it doesn't ignore damage reduction. That Endure won't save her because of that burn status effect, and so she might be dead before she even gets the turn. Even more so because while this Astrid might not use a Burning Blaze immediately after, she is quite likely, I think, to use Burning Spirit, because all of her allies hopefully are already burning if she's running in a burn team. And so this will produce a lot of spirit, and then her other allies will get the turn and potentially finish off Light Anya with some powerful burn attacks before she even gets the time to get a turn. This all happening without Light Anya even needing to be stunned at all or absorbing any stuns. So in theory that sounds all great, but the drawback is that the first question is, can you fill a top 1 platoon for Arena that really makes it worth it to run that kind of front to counter the current meta? Or is it not enough? And if it is enough, isn't that kind of comp heavily countered by sleep? And of course, water has the elemental advantage. So even, without the very real possibility of having another strong water unit released sometime, even with the units right now, a meta shift to burn in Plat 1 could kind of lead to another meta shift that brings water units back into the spotlight in Platoon 1, with units like Water Snow White, Water Colin, and Gavine. Especially Gavine can counter her quite a bit with her high speed potentially and an immediately strong attack, while Red Astrid isn't burning yet, because, important to note, Red Astrid doesn't get the burn status at the beginning of the battle. All that being said, for war, there's obviously only the need for strong platoons, and strong stun platoons with the Light Anya combo that I described earlier could be quite heavily countered by burn teams now, if you have a few very, very good burn units. Now, what are some more pros of this Red Astrid? I can't stress the stun immunity too much. I think the unconditional stun immunity is a really, really big plus, especially in the current meta. The burn armor, of course, is a nice to have. The Burning Heart is really, really good, especially in combination with the AI hate again, where burning actually draws additional attention to her, and if she loses the burn status, her threat level actually goes down, which gives her the chance to survive, especially considering the many options to heal she has, from allies getting the turn, from burning allies getting the turn, of course, and from herself getting the turn. Then, of course, immediately igniting again with any of the skills that she has at her disposal. And so we could see something like with Fire Elmina again, where I also predicted that she flies a bit under the radar and this way often gets to use the ignition rage heal yet again, because her burning heart helps her survive at 1 HP and then the enemy just begins ignoring her. However, in the case of Red Astrid, she also has this important other threat level condition, which is a guard on the enemy team. And given that you kind of want Red Astrid to start at the front to make full use of a burn team, if you wish to do that, it is to be expected that you will encounter many guards. So that should keep her threat level kind of consistently somewhat high, at least, let's say. But on the other hand, of course, you might not run Red Astrid without a guard. Anyways, I mean, she has a very, very strong synergy with Bright Astrid, I think. Kind of the whole thing about putting units on fire really plays well with Red Astrid's skill set. So the Astrid combo is really something that can work quite well. Long story short, I appreciate the effort from ZigZa to kind of bring burn some glory after all these years of being on the lower side of elements and especially of team compositions in the arena. I think she will make burn more relevant again, but on the other hand, I don't think that it will be enough to make burn meta. For that, I think we would at least need another strong burn unit to come out first. However, do keep in mind that with that kind of starting conditions where she immediately puts burn on her burn blast or burn drive allies, that could definitely increase the viability of some of the earlier burn units straight away, because they don't need to set up the strong burn attacks first. All that said, for Arena, I predict an S tier ceiling for her, just because she isn't quite the plug and play unit to play in any team really, like Bright Astrid and Freya, who are in the SS tier. Red Astrid really needs to be put with some burn allies and potentially also, for part of her passives to take effect, be placed in the first platoon with some other burn allies. And the question really is if enough people see value in doing that. The top platoon obviously is very, very competitive. Only 4 spots at the beginning to give away. On the other hand, for war, I do think she will be a very, very good unit if you are already having burn units to go with her or are planning for a burn team. And that is the advice that I ended video with, of course, because of the kind of sloppy AI, at least partially with regards to her skill weights. I definitely recommend waiting a bit for her actual performance on the battlefield, which of course, as usual, I will post to my channel from High Level Arena as soon as possible. But on the other hand, if you are not running a burn team or don't plan to run a burn team in the future, I think this is an easy skip. And on the other hand, if you do run a burn team, then this is a very, very good option to add to your team, because from a strictly burn status perspective, this is one of the very best burn units, if not the best, that we have seen. Thanks for the materials used in this video to Saturn, Lance.js and Nizetto. I hope you found my first analysis on Red Astrid helpful and informative. If so, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to become a true carrot. And as always, thanks for watching.